we've been doing during this semester till now, and we also have 2 more upcoming events, so I'm going to also let you know about those. So I'm going to start by showing you our flyer and some of the events that we had planned for this semester. As you can see, there is also May 2nd, this day, the Psychology Day, and also 2 more events which are coming on next week and then the week after that, which are going to be on positive psychology and relationships. I have a picture of our first meeting together, which was in the club there. These are our club board and our advisors. So there's me, there's Amber, our secretary, there's Carl, who is our treasurer, there's Aryo, who is the vice president, and there are our 2 wonderful advisors, Professor Oni and Professor Komolavan. Yes, that's Aryo, and there's Carl somewhere. Yeah, he's there. It's him. From the shade. Yeah, the panther, who I don't know who is. Okay, there's another picture of us. And this is our first meeting for the semester. Maybe some of you may recognize yourself. This is our first event that we had. It was a mental health careers. We had Dr. Kaylee Weiner from the Counseling Center, who gave us a very good overview of the possible mental health careers. After that, we had, I think Dr. Kaylee is here, so I would just like to say thank you to her. Our second event was from Professor Andres Colapinto, who gave us a talk on consciousness. He let us know about all the problems that philosophers and psychologists have with consciousness. Because many people liked his talk, we decided to go on an event which is going to happen on May 16th. This is going to be on Soho Playhouse. So we're going to listen to a rapper rapping on consciousness. And as you can see, it's very scientific. So if you're still interested to come, let us know, because we have a few more free slots. Then the third event that we had was part of the Women's History Month of BMCC, and we had Professor Christina Oni, who spoke on the subject of objectification of women on March 14th. We followed that event also with a visit to the Museum of Sex on the exhibition that they had on the female gaze. This is a picture of us. After that, we spoke on race and culture. I'm sorry I don't have any pictures about that, but we had our amazing Vice President, Aryo, who made us think a lot about what race is and what race isn't. So we also had a very good group conversation and people shared a lot of their experiences. After that, we had another visit, which was off campus. We went to the European Museum of Art and we listened to a talk between a very famous neuroscientist, Elizabeth Phelps, and a writer named Danny Shapiro. They were talking about time and memory. As you can see, we had a great time. Okay, our next event was on mindfulness. We talked about the science behind mindfulness and useful techniques like meditation. We had Professor Daniel DePaulo, who told us about his research on meditation and what the results of his research have been. And we had also Russell Hill, who was a graduate of BMCC, and now he's in City College of New York studying psychology. Russell shared with us his experience and how meditation and mindfulness have helped him to go through all the obstacles that autism brings. So I think he was also very inspired. After that, we also went to another event, which was again on the Rubin Museum. This time we learned about dogs. So there was this neuroscientist, Alexandra Horowitz. She is a professor and dog cognition researcher at Barnard College. So these are some new pictures. After that, last week we spoke about emotional intelligence. We connected through internet with Joshua Friedman, the CEO of 6 Seconds, the biggest non-profit on emotional intelligence. See? Yes. So through something like Skype, he gave us a talk on what emotional intelligence is and how we can work to raise the levels of our emotional intelligence and how that helps with learning, with connecting with people, and many other things. This was a picture we took that day. We didn't have him there, so it's just us. And Yeah, that was our last event till now. So next week we're having a meeting on positive psychology, and then after that we're going to have a meeting on relationships. I just want to say thank you for all the members of our club who have been joining us this semester, and also to the professors who have been encouraging students to join us. Also, I just want to end it by saying that we started this semester at the club by saying that psychology is one of the most integrated sciences, which involves so many disciplines that sometimes seem like they don't have much in common, but they have something in common, and that's being able to ask questions and try to find the answers through using so many different ways. So we also said that we should remember all the time while we're studying psychology how this relates to our personal lives, how this helps us understand better ourselves, each other, and the world we live in. So we try to keep that in mind during the semester in all the events that we organize. When we spoke about race, when we spoke about mindfulness and how that helps us, and all the other events. Thank you so much, everybody.
Kate, that's the best round of applause we've had all morning, so that's a high compliment for you. Okay, so Dr. Lee is going to come up and introduce our fantastic speaker, and then you'll get to hear some amazing things about neuroscience. So, Dr. Lee?
It's my great honor to introduce Professor Susanna Martina Conde. While she's setting up the equipment, and maybe I can take advantage and ask so many of students here questions. And it's wonderful to see so many of you here. And do you remember when you studied speed brain research? Who did that research, landmark research, won the Nobel Prize in 1981? Remember you were watching the documentary on the speed brain left and the right brain spheres? You remember that? Who was the psychologist? Steven? Remember? The first name is Roger. What's the second name? Sperry? That sounds familiar? Okay. Jamal, you remember, right? Roger Sperry. And in 1981, he won the Nobel Prize by doing speed brain research. At the same time, he won the Nobel Prize along with another psychologist, whose name is Dr. David Hilbert. And Dr. Hilbert was the supervisor of Professor Martina Susanna. Okay. Does it work? You want to thank you. Supervisor for her postdoctoral training. Okay. So, let me ask you another question. Do you think you are good students or not? Yes. You are good students, right? Thank you. Do you know why are you such a good students? What makes you such good students? Leo? Because you have good teachers here, right? Good. And along the same line, the reason why Dr. Susanna Martinez and Conde can become such outstanding, internationally renowned researchers and professors, and because she was trained under Professor David Hilbert at Harvard. They're working. So imagine, there's a saying in American, apples do not fall far from the trees, right? If you have good teachers, then you have a better chance to become good students as well, right? Okay. What about another way around? Have you ever thought about how come Dr. David Hilbert can become such a good researcher and then won the Nobel Prize? Because while he was doing his research in 1963, 64, along with another psychologist, Dr. Charleston Rizzo. He was thinking maybe later on he can get a wonderful student like Dr. Susanna Martina Conde. So he better to be good he himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to supervise Professor Susanna Martina Conde and the training, right? So in other words, you students here can make your teachers better by push, by challenge your professors. Does that make sense to you? Not really yet. Okay. So how many of you have read the biology of Dr. Susanna Holmes? But really did, right? Okay. I'm going to test in your memory. Something like you read? Okay. And anybody read? It posted on the website, also on Blackboard. Nobody read? What? You don't have that on the Blackboard? Professor Susanna Holmes is a professor of neurology, ophthalmology. What is ophthalmology? Leo? Yeah. Do you remember we studied congenital cataract research? Do you remember? For your eyes, right? And she not only did landmark research, she also outreach to public. And she was featured in NPR, National Public Radios, and Science American, and other TV major networks. Probably you are already familiar with Dr. Susanna Martina Holmes through those mass media. So I was wondering, given such heavy teaching load, how could she have so much time to reach the public? So if some faculty members sitting here, probably we can learn from Susanna how to help the public in general, and after we teach our own students. You know, any question? Now I'm going to read a little more. Have you ever heard about the top 100 Spaniards? Anyone heard the top 100 Hispanic, the most well-accomplished people? You never heard? No, you're looking at the one here, not me. So I know a lot of students here from Hispanic background, right? So you may think that you are from a disadvantaged neighborhood or background. You will have less chance to become successful. And Dr. Susanna Martina Conde sitting here would tell you, you had the wrong idea. If she can be so successful, right? So probably you can believe you would have a chance as well. Does it make sense to you? Alright. Ready? Not yet. Okay. Well, why else would you like me to introduce you? Okay. You like to talk or you want to talk to the audience? Okay, so maybe you can say something.
Well, hi everybody, and thank you for having me here and for the kind introduction. Looks like we're having some AV problems. We're waiting for backup. Some communication problem apparently between my machine and the projector. And so I guess we'll know more in a few minutes, hopefully.
Today, Stephen, you can help, right? Let me give you a common case called the cataract. Yeah, C-A-R-A-C-T. Cataract is the 40 lens, the blurred lens. Congenital is born with. Unfortunately, some babies are born with the cataract. And do you think nowadays we can use surgical operation remove the blurry or faulty lens, right? And then put a synthetic contact lens. Do you think that we would solve the problem? Why not? The baby has a good lens. Philosophy? Why come out there? So how come the surgical operation that replaced faulty lens with a good synthetic contact lens wouldn't be sufficient enough? Ready to? So surgeon wouldn't complete the job, requires psychologists. So how psychologists can help? The neurons. Exactly. Leo, would you like, okay. Jana. Yeah. Right, so surgery operation is necessary, but not sufficient for the recovery of the baby's vision, who unfortunately had a congenital cataract. Leo, would you like to add anything? So what kind of post-surgery and recuperation or treatment that psychologists can help the baby who just had surgery to recover the vision? So how can psychologists help? But okay, how?
Well, never mind.
Okay. What? Okay, good idea. Anybody here practice or play basketball, soccer? Cherry? Denise, do you play basketball? Are you right hand or left hand? Right hand. Wouldn't it be better to use both hands that can make you an NBA player, right? So how would you train to use your left hand to shoot a hoop? Exactly, you have to tie your right hand, right? So what is that? You would habitually to use the dominant hand that have an easy time. By the same token, a baby who suffers from congenital cataract, even though surgical operation replaces the base lens with a good one, exactly. You have to force the weak one. Otherwise, you tend to use your dominant one. You will have easy time, habitually, right? Use your right hand or your good eye. And your bad eye recovery never have a chance. What do you mean never have a chance to recover? So what's the underlying neuropsychological, physiological mechanism that is necessary for the recovery of the surgery? So what do we need to cover the good eye? What's the weak recovering good eye? To use what? Which part of the body? Kevin? The brain, right. Which part of the brain? The back. Visual cortex, occipital lobe, right? So the problem is during the first few weeks, the critical stage for visual development. As you know, there's a biological principle called atrophy, use or lose. If you don't use those visual cells, and the visual cells or neurons located on your visual cortex will become atrophied, use or lose, right? Okay, or become hypertrophy. You use this to develop the words, develop that. So in order to help the visual cortex to recover, Well, we need to provide sufficient enough stimulation. That's the reason why we need to cover the blue eye. So from this case, we know the surgeon cannot complete the task. Psychologists play a critical role, right? Any other question? No question? Okay, ready to, you can start. Next question related to ophthalmology neurology we discussed today. Do you think it's possible to teach blind people to see? How? How to teach blind people to see? Yeah, we can work on video different sensory modalities, right? And anyone like to elaborate? Tommy, any idea? Ines? Any other elaborate? So how we can, even blind people, right, cannot see. I want to see how much let me give you a common example. Have you ever thought about how come Steve Wonder and Ray Charles can become such outstanding musicians? Whether they have some talent or gift that we don't, non-blind people do not have, that make them become such outstanding musicians. Alex, go ahead, your turn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, think about this. Even though, as you know, Steve Wonder has a congenital blindness, means blind by birth, and Ray Charles lost his vision already at age 5. So they wouldn't be able to use the visual cortex. Really? Okay, all yours.
We're going to talk about illusions, specifically what we mean by the concept of illusion, what illusions tell us about the workings of the brain. Can everybody hear me already? You all right? Even from the very back? No? Does this thing have a volume? Maybe not. If I speak louder, can you hear me now? Yeah? Maybe it's best if I speak from behind the podium. Let me give it a try. Is it better if I speak here? Yeah? Okay. Okay, trying again the mic. Testing. Podium better? Same. Podium, mic. Podium. Okay, I think I can hear better with the podium. Okay, so these are the types of perceptual challenges, the senses that we try to figure out in the laboratory. Let me start with an illusion. Rather than define an illusion, let me just give you a little example. And so we are all on the same page. Oh, I should mention, a lot of the illusions that I'm going to talk about today, these have been the winners and finalists of a contest that I started and have been running now for 14 years. It's the Best Illusion of the Year contest. And you can actually check it out online. It's if you go to illusionoftheyear.com. That's the contest page. In fact, we just opened the 14th edition for submissions. Anybody can participate. And over the years, over the last 13, 14 years, we have had many different people from all over the world, scientists as well as artists and art designers, magicians, come up and discover, just observe illusions around them and submit them to the contest. And each of these illusions tells us something fundamental about how our brain works. But I promise you that we would start with a quick example of what an illusion looks like, just to get us all on the same page. So here we have a couple of faces. I'm going to ask you to keep your eyes on the central cross. That's very important. So don't move your eyes from the cross, but keep paying attention to the faces. These are some of the most beautiful people in the world. And you should see that in a few seconds, they start to get kind of distorted and grotesque. This is not a computer trick. Now look at the faces directly, and you'll see that they're the same beautiful Hollywood people that you all know and love. Back to the cross, but paying attention to the faces. Again, they become very ugly and distorted. So what's going on? This is all happening in your minds. It's an illusion that we call the flash face distortion effect. And as the name indicates, it's a distortion illusion. What it tells us is that we don't have absolutes for the brain. For the brain, there is no black, there is no white, there is no big or small. Everything depends on what you compare it with. And the same is true for beauty, the same is true for face proportions. So in this particular illusion, you have a number of faces that are all lined up on top of each other. And so our brain is performing this very quick online automatic comparison. So if you have a face, say, that has a nose that is on the small side, the face immediately following it, say that has a completely average size nose. Due to this contrast effect, the second face will appear as if it has a nose that is much larger than average. So your brains are constantly making this kind of comparison. You really cannot trust perception from an absolute point of view. Everything depends on contrast and context. So this is just one example of an illusion, and we're going to talk about a few others. This is based on a classic illusion, is the Ebbinghaus effect. The same stimulus surrounded by big circles is going to look bigger or smaller. But if you get it in motion, you're going to sort of put this classical illusion on steroids. So fixate the yellow dot on the central circle, and now you see the central circle is not moving at all. It's remaining the same in size, but it appears to grow and shrink because the surrounding circles are getting bigger. And now it's even a stronger effect. Keep looking at the yellow circle, and you could a yellow dot, and you see that the central circle really seems to shrink and expand. This is all happening in your brains. Or take this other illusion as an example. Now, can you all see the 16 door panels? Yeah? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 times 4. So yeah, about 16 of them. But in fact, we have no door panels at all in this illusion. What we have instead is circles. How many circles do you see? Do you see the 16 circles? You should, just with a little help, maybe. We have 16 circles instead, and now that you know that there are there, it's impossible to forget where they are. So we have the same kind of stimulus, the same kind of image, but we can have two radically different interpretations that I can basically bias you to see squares or circles just depending on the auditory information that I'm giving you. This is another classic effect. It's the cafe wall illusion, and it has this name because actually the laboratory of Richard Gregory, a vision scientist in the UK, they discovered it on the wall of this cafe there, and you can see that these are parallel lines, but in fact they appear to be tilted. And you can imagine the kind of nightmare that this may have been for the mason who put this wall together, trying to figure out if the bricks were actually straight or not. So, yeah, so that was in the, say, 1960s or so, 1970s. This is the new version of the cafe wall illusion. Believe it or not, these lines are all completely straight and parallel. We don't have any tilted lines in this illusion. And I'm gonna demonstrate it to you in a couple of ways. So first off, I'm gonna ask you, squint your eyes so you make your vision just a tiny little bit blurry, and you should see that the lines get a lot straighter as you squint your eyes. So it's all about the positioning of the little black and white diamond shapes at the intersection that is tricking our shape perception system into believing that these lines are tilted instead of straight. But as soon as you make the little diamonds hard to see, for instance, by making your vision blurry, then you can see that the lines are truly parallel. And, or we can just blur them on the actual image and boom, you can see that they're actually parallel. Okay? So let's try the blurring again. Boom, there you go, parallel again. Basically, so it can be very difficult to convince yourself that something else is happening. Like in the case of these 4 ramps, they're made out of cardboard, the balls are made out of cork and wood, and you can see that they're rolling uphill. So how is this? This is not made with magnets, so they're not made out. Oh, so that's what's happening. The balls were not actually rolling uphill, they were rolling downhill. Your brain would have you believe that the rules of gravity no longer apply. But see, now that you know that this is actually happening, that the balls are actually rolling downhill, if we go back to the beginning, now you should be able to see what's actually happening for real. But of course you don't. Your brain still would have you believe that gravity goes opposite from the physical reality than challenge the way in which you construct your perception of that. That's how hard it is to defeat illusions. They're part of our neural architecture. There's really very little that we can do to overcome at least some of these illusions. And here I have another example. This is a fun one by the same scientist, Okichi Sugihara. Oh no, that's not the one. I just show you that one. Let me see. Perfectly normal mirror. And we use mirrors every day. We think that we know how they work. In fact, we don't understand mirrors as well as we think we do. And this illusion is proof of that. And this illusion is also an illusion of perspective. If somebody is very curious, we can talk about it more later. But we have 2 specific vantage points. One which is directly from the camera, and another one which is through the mirror. And it appears that what you're seeing is impossible, but in fact it is very much possible, and there are no tricks. All the magic is happening in your own brains. Here we have twinkling donuts, and you can see that when it's up, so we have these dots that appear and disappear, they change color, but when the donut starts swirling or starts rotating, now the motion stops. It's actually not true. The motion, the changing color of the dots never stops. In fact, choose one of the dots that it changes color, and keep looking at it, and you can see that even as the circle or as the ring rotates, it is still changing color, but it appears much less so. So this is an interesting illusion, and in fact, it's probably based on the same principle that you may see often when you go to a magic show, and you see a magician on stage, and they seem to be doing all sorts of impossible things, which are sometimes surprisingly simple. And one famous magician axiom that is that a big move covers a small move. So a magician may be doing something very obvious with their hands that is going to attract your attention, it's going to be very easy to see, but you're not going to notice the little things that the fingers may be doing during the big trajectory of the larger motion. It is the same kind of situation that we have here with the little twinkling motion of the dots and the bigger motion of the rotating donut. So this sort of illusion tells us something important about how our attentional system works and the kinds of things that tend to captivate our attention versus the kinds of things that our attention tends to neglect. Big lesson here, don't multitask. Don't try to anyway, nobody can. Alright, so this may be a little bit hard to see because we have so much light in this room, but this is a color illusion, and what you're supposed to be seeing here are two portraits of Rembrandt and Van Gogh, and again, I don't know how well you can see them, but you should be able to see that the colors are applied well and that the colors of each portrait make sense and they match the contours of the faces and so on. But in fact, what's happening is that each of the color profiles is a hybrid of both portraits. It is only the luminance profile of the two pictures that is different, but underneath, they're colored exactly the same way. And you can swap them and it still works just as well. And this is not just true for portraits, you can do it with scenes or landscapes. Here we have a forest and the Manhattan skyline. Again, it is only the luminance that varies. Underneath, the color profile is a hybrid of both scenes. Why do we perceive illusions rather than the truth? Well, I already mentioned that these illusions have some evolutionary value. They're adapted in some way, or else we wouldn't be alive here today to tell the tale. But one of the reasons why we experience illusions is that we have to deal with very important neural limitations. If you think about it, our brain has a limited size. It has to fit inside of our head, and our head has to fit through the birth canal. So we have a limited size object that is going to have a limited number of brain areas and neurons and connections between neurons. So you literally have to pick and choose what aspects of the immense amount of information around us you're going to process, because we do not have the neural resources to process all of it. So we're going to be taking a few pieces of information here and there, and we're going to do a whole lot of filling in the blanks and seek structure, even artificially. Our brain is an information, a meaning assigning machine. So even when the structure around us is non-existent, when we're surrounded by chaos, we're going to still try to make sense of things. Even if we end up with the wrong conclusions, we're still trying to figure out what's going on. And we're going to improve our narratives. What do I mean by that? We're going to be telling stories. We're going to tell stories to ourselves, to other people, about what's going on. And these stories may or may not match reality. Let's see a few examples of this. So the most famous gap that we feel is our blind spot. You probably are all familiar with the concept. We have a big hole close to the center of our visual field, one hole for each eye, where we don't have photoreceptors, because that's where the optic nerve leaves the eye to carry visual information to the rest of the brain. So I'm gonna, the person in the slide is not doing it right. I'm gonna show you how to do it. And this is a good party trick, and you can use it to decapitate people you don't like. And what you need to do is extend both arms, and you need to make the double loser sign with both hands. connect the thumbs. It's important that you keep both arms straight. And now close your left eye, look at the tip of your left finger, but pay attention to the tip of your right finger. You should see the tip of the right finger disappearing. Can people say yes if the right finger's gone? Is it gone? Okay, you can do it, you can wiggle it a little bit. Again, it's important that you keep your elbows completely straight and you make perfect L's with both hands, connect the thumbs. Again, close your left eye, look at the close your left eye, look at the tip of your left finger and pay attention to the right finger. Don't look directly to the right finger because then you're going to see it for sure. Okay, now for those of you who were able to disappear your right fingertip, make it disappear again, make it vanish again. Okay, left eye closed, look at the left fingertip while pay attention to the right finger. The right fingertip is gone. Now tell me, can you see what's behind the right finger that's gone? Can you see what's behind it? Yeah? No, you can't. You don't have X-ray vision. Sorry to disappoint you. Your mutant powers have not developed yet. But what's happening instead is that your visual system is, of course, considering the information that is surrounding this part of the visual field where you should have a big hole, and using this surrounding information to guess what should be inside of that blind area. So this is a very smart algorithm. We don't notice any obvious gaps. The algorithm is not smart, however, not so smart as to reconstruct the actual finger, but I'd say it does a pretty good job.